Hello. It is a beautiful day outside. As you can see, very sunny. I'm here on my exercise ball. And what I was thinking about today in relation to resilience is really the commitment that we hold to ourselves in moments where we aren't sure if we're doing things right, in moments where our mind wants to criticize us, our mind wants to just have these kind of knee jerk, um, you know, habitual responses of assuming that there is something wrong and that we are the source of it or that we can control it. And this is something that is, I think, just a part of the process you know, while we acknowledge that we are recovered people, the path of um, developing the tools of resilience that really allow our personal strengths to shine and the ways in which we find out what those resilience tools are. This path can be really um not not on script or not according to necessarily how we've heard other people have experienced it, or maybe we just don't have those reference points yet. We haven't yet found those reference points that we feel like we really relate to, that help us to understand ourselves more. But I think it's really important that in the midst of everything, we are able to find that mental tone and posture where we can feel empowered and just acknowledge to ourselves that we don't have to be looking for all the flaws. We don't have to be looking for all the things, kind of the rationales or the examples that would kind of prove this assumption that we might hold, that we are the problem, that we are doing something wrong necessarily, and that we can fix whatever the problem is by shaming ourselves. And that's kind of the way that we are, so many people, maybe many or most people in the world, are taught to kind of approach problem solving or to approach assessing a situation when our emotions feel off. Um, and I don't think that it's useful because it removes the ability to relax in our body. And so often it's the tension and fear in our body which causes our emotions to feel off in the first place. So I think by going to the source of the body, um, that can be an extremely helpful tool to remember, just kind of recenter, those um, kind of usual assumptions that we would have, um, the usual ways that we would attempt to have good control and good stability in our lives. Our mind is trying to help us. Our mind is trying to be like, we want control, stability. We want things to be in order. We want security. We want to be able to play and provide for ourselves and our loved ones. We want things to be peaceful and good, and our mind is coming at it from the right perspective. But we can't get to that goal through the lens of um, attacking ourselves, you know, because we need to be able to be our own coach and know how to support ourselves through difficult or mysterious or just unknown, like when you're in the heat of those moments, those emotions, those thoughts that are coming in, how, what is that key that if we're having trouble thinking or remembering things, we're just overwhelmed, what is the key that can bring us through to the other side, as long as we follow that string through the darkness, through that dark cave, whatever that Greek myth is. Something with the, not Cyclops, what are they called? The like humans with the bull heads, whatever it is. Anyway, that's just the visual I have of anyway, that key is coaching ourselves with, reducing our energy being put towards fearful circumstances, fearful possibilities, and fear implying tension of the body, and so that we can make room to envision all the good things that we do want, all the good possibilities, all of the beautiful things that our powerful, vibrant, creative energy and imagination can go towards to create. And that key is just developing our own kind of coach persona in our minds. And it is a really important, necessary part of resilience practices that we have in our lives, to learn how, just keep on practicing when we are in the heat of the moment, to learn more for us personally. I'm kind of remembering, I think I might have heard a term that somebody used to describe kind of the own language that we have internally, our points of reference that we use to paint pictures of what something is. And I think it was like landscape of the imagination or something like that. I can't remember. Do not quote me on that. But it's this, we have to be able to hold a vibrant image and mental posture and perception to understand how we should behave in the role that we imagine ourselves in, that we imagine our circumstance to be. And that is what will help create these positive circumstances that will negate all the fearful thoughts and all the what ifs and all the kind of like fear-based control that can have really negative side effects in how we treat ourselves and other people, and just in efficiency in what we're doing, how well we use our energy and our time, and long-term success. You might have shorter term success by kind of using the crack the whip mentality, but it's not sustainable. Or if you do it over long periods of time, it's just going to have really negative consequences. It's like side effects. So, that is the main thing that I've been kind of thinking about, just like how can I, in every circumstance that I am in, and even, I had a really rough day yesterday in my job, where in the past I would have been very harsh to myself, and I was having echoes of that come up where I knew that it wasn't actually me, but it was like an echo and a memory of these kind of experiences that used to be, just my regular way of operating. And it took, I'm really proud of myself. It took a lot of strength, a lot of drawing upon all the ways that I have been practicing resilience and experimenting with what allows me personally to feel empowered and more resilient. And it ended up so that I was able to overcome the really strong moments, not by, you know, pressing any eject button right in the moment, but by acknowledging that whatever I was doing, it was in the name of supporting myself and, not making these kind of like, well, I guess I have to take this action in order to prove I'm this, or I have to take that action in order to prove I'm that. I wasn't thinking in those terms. I was just, all that chatter, all that kind of arguing in my mind, I was just trying to focus on how do I just be authentic to how I want to treat myself and empower myself. And it was, you know, it was difficult, but I was able to overcome it. I was able to make the experience. I was really thinking about pros and cons, because a lot of times pros and cons come into the factoring of our decisions, our decision making. And we have to really examine pros and cons and decide where it really is most loving and empowering for us to take that position of, this challenge is like, I'm going to have a positive mindset. This challenge is a blessing. It's proof of how far I've come. I welcome every opportunity, that kind of mindset. And then there's the other side where it's like, or is it more empowering to be like, I'm going to, like, I've experienced challenge and I know my limits, and I know that I can, I really want to draw on my strengths or develop different strengths in myself, with, maybe there's other characteristics that I can practice, by taking the action of kind of letting go of control of a circumstance. And there's such a strong, I think, like dichotomy or like sense of arguing within ourselves or within myself. And I think it's also, it's just really common, especially when you are really passionate about being resilient and there for yourself, there for other people, like making situations good. Like you're just like really cautious, where we just, we want to weigh things out to have the best outcome possible. And sometimes things just, it's really difficult to understand what perspective to take if you buckle down. And something I was thinking about yesterday is like, sometimes with buckling down, we can start to judge ourselves, being like, I'm not being positive enough, I'm not being strong enough and strong-minded. And I was caught in that argument for a while, trying to make a decision in this situation. And I really just came to the conclusion that whatever, like all the logic that we can use, the body doesn't lie, the body's sensations, and empowerment can be felt through the body. And that strong sense of self is where we get authenticity, where we get inner motivation and drive, and where we get certainty and conviction and passion and intrinsically driven. What is that word? Can't remember the word, but where you're like intrinsically motivated. And that's where like a stable life and honest commitment and reliability, accountability, that's where these things stem from, is when you are able to have that relationship with your own self, where you're able to assess your thoughts, your feelings, and determine what they mean and understand what decision is right for you. And, especially when you've been through a lot, and when we've been through a lot in life, usually, I would almost say always, addiction of some kind is implicated, because that is whatever your addiction is, even if it's not substances. Addiction is the heavenly God sent mechanism by which human beings are able to survive horrible circumstances where there aren't the appropriate social, emotional, physical, um, technological, education, whatever, all the things where there aren't enough resources. Like, addiction is what saves us, allows us to focus and have this inward sense of drive and self-determination and success. And so this these really difficult circumstances can leave us feeling unsure of how to trust ourselves, trust our judgment, unsure of our identity, how to be authentic to ourselves, how to understand processing decision making, and process our own emotions and the options we have available to us, especially in really tense moments where we are physiologically stressed, where we are emotionally, mentally stressed, and we can really easily in the moment not remember alternate ways to process and construct a narrative for what is happening, what our role is, like what's the narrative here? What are the underlying beliefs or sense of what is occurring? Because everyone can be in the same exact circumstance, and we have very different perceptions and a very different narrative of what is occurring. Oh, the light just went out. It's okay. It's a little dark in here, but I think it's okay. um, Maybe if I don't know. But yeah, so that's what I was just really focusing on, is how necessary it is to have that key when we can't remember all these more complicated, long form answers of how we should think or feel. Like, what is that key, that secret key that we can feel empowered and certain? Like, if nothing else, I know I'm good because I'm doing it through this mindset. And for me, I realized that key is really this sense of feeling empowered inwardly, and in feeling empowered, that that takes into account my responsibilities, the accountability that I have, my goals for the future, and being able to make our decisions while holding that mindset of empowerment, because we can make the same decision, but the way that we think about it, and whether we support ourselves, and whether we have access to the resources or the narrative options for like what this decision means for us, and what it kind of, the conclusions we can draw about ourselves, as far as our character and what we believe it means about the future, how other people will treat us, or how we deserve to be treated. It's so important that we have that ability to just remember, self-empowerment, a self-empowered mindset, or not even self-empowered, but just sorry, it says storage low on my phone. Just empowered. Um, anyways, yeah, that is something I'm experimenting with. You know, it's a long process, of course, throughout the whole rest of our lives. We got to make it enjoyable as possible, which is another really good thing to come back to. It's like, what is empowered? Empowered is um, responsible. In order to be responsible, it has to be sustainable long term. In order to be sustainable long term, it can't feel like uh, unsustainable. It can't feel horrible. And if you have to achieve something through like cracking a whip, then it's not sustainable for you. It's not sustainable. Or if it is sustainable, then you're going to have really negative consequences and like other side effects. So that is, yeah, something that I've just been thinking about lately and wanted to share about, wanted to um include in this conversation about what resilience means and what it looks like in these really kind of gritty, kind of confusing, raw, real experiences of being alive. So, yeah, I affirm for you that you will find your own personal ways of feeling empowered in those raw moments, feeling what actions and mental postures you can take to feel supported and approve of your own decisions. You got to approve of your own decisions. You can't just be like, I'm a shithead, but this decision will take me there. No. The right way is knowing that you're not a shithead and the decision will take you there. So thank you for listening and talk soon. Take care.